nothing too crazy. Pumpkaboo could maybe be a little bit relevant to get out of path. Charlie is playing one as we see in the prize cards.
Yeah, Pumpkaboo could be a big deal to be in the prize cards. We actually saw that earlier on today in game number 2 of Grant versus Gabe. Gabe prized his Pumpkaboo, went to quick ball for it and get rid of the path to the peak, and oh no, it was hiding in the prizes, and Gabe ended up dead drawing and losing the rest of that game, just not being able to get out of a stuck hand. So that could be definitely a problem for Kyle if Charlie can find an early path to the peak, or a timely path to the peak, I should say. This is an Arceus mirror match, and going first is very important, and it does look like Kyle has drawn the first card here.
Yeah, this list is very interesting. I believe I saw a Pokegear 3.0 in that deck list as well. Get exactly what you want on that first turn. The Arceus down, the energy attachment as well. Anything additionally is some icing on the cake at that point, but Charlie going to respond the same way, getting that turn 1 attachment. No, it's quite so good as a double turbo. That is what you're really looking for that first turn. Trinity Charge is a very solid attack. While it deals no damage, it does accelerate your board with energy, get some backup attackers powered up, and I think the decision here for Charlie is, do I want to play this Marnie? I have what I'm looking for the following turn, especially when my opponent played so little, is going to go ahead and play it. Charlie will get 5 cards. Kyle going to get 4. Going to be interesting to see what Charlie is able to also put together. Probably looking for some Sobbles, some more support Pokemon to get down, and even another Arceus, and a very solid hand there. Sobble and a Drizzile for the following turn, and finds the Fan of Waves. This can reset the energy. Was going to talk about that.
That is a huge hit. Yeah, massive draw there from Charlie. Fan of Waves putting that double turbo on the bottom of the deck, effectively erasing everything that Kyle did on the last turn. And this hand is pretty decent for Kyle. Can go get an Arceus V-Star, but it's going to be much harder to get any extra energies in play because now you don't have access to Trinity Charge if you evolve this Arceus V into a V-Star.
The Escape Rope here could be a very big card. You could possibly grab the Arceus V-Star to get double turbo, utilize the Trinity Charge. You need to have some way to respond to keep up with the pressure that Charlie put, or more so the disruption at this point. But Quick Ball eyeing up the Evolution Incense, so with something like the Ultra Ball, that could also be an option to grab some more Pokemon. This is a Crobat VMAX line, so of course you do get access to those 2 copies of Crobat V, a card that has seen play in and out since its release in Darkness Ablaze. Its Shaman setup capped at 1. Been solid throughout the history of the Pokemon trading card game.
But Kyle here is eyeing up that Lumineon. Its Luminous Sign ability allowing you to grab a supporter card out of your deck and place it into your hand. Great in combination with powerful supporters like Professor's Research, where it allows you to just discard your hand and draw 7 new cards. And that's the route Kyle has decided to go with. Does have that Escape Rope in hand, like you mentioned. I believe Choice Belt and Ultra Ball are those final 2 cards.
Yeah, this probably signals the Ultra Ball, maybe grabbing another, or to try to just go into this Lumineon, get the Choice Belt down. So there's a lot of options. But Kyle deciding to shuffle the deck up and not go back in most likely references the latter play will happen. So, oh, nope, looks like it is going to go ahead and play the Ultra Ball. So I like this. You empty the hand out. You could either Crobat for 6, or you can play Lumineon and drop to 7. What do you think between the two? You either fill your hand up, or you get the guaranteed 7 cards off of Research.
Yeah, I feel like it's fine to set up one of your basic Pokemon V here, especially since you already have a draw supporter in hand. And you can only use 1 Crobat per turn, let's remember. So Kyle does play 2 copies of Crobat V. So by using Research now, you give yourself an opportunity to potentially use Crobat V on the other end of the Research after seeing a new hand of 7 cards. So I like this decision, setting up the Corviknight. I feel like Kyle here is digging for the double turbo energy.
Absolutely. 7 fresh cards at the top of the deck. Research. We'll see what's finds a basic dark energy.
No double turbo. Looking. Does have that Crobat in hand. Also an Ultra Ball can thin this hand down quite a bit.
Yeah, a few nice support Pokemon there as well. Has another Corviknight, the Hoopa in hand. But at this point, those are really in there for Hoopa in there for those dark and psychic weak attackers, or rather defending Pokemon, and Corviknight already in play. Might not need multiple of those in an Arceus Mirror. So I think smartly going to invest all into finding the double turbo energy. You got to go big, you got to go home here when the match points are on the line and when your top 8 berth is very, very realistic.
Does grab another Arceus V out of the deck to put onto the bench, I assume. Has a Corviknight V in hand, which is solid. You can threaten 2 different Corviknight VMAX, and these Pokemon have so much HP, but Corviknight VMAX also does have free retreat, so you can move between 2 Corviknights and really deny your opponent prize cards. So that could be something Kyle is trying to set up. Gonna draw 4 cards off the Dark Asset. Let's see what he gets here.
Looking for that double turbo energy. Finds the metal. Okay, I was going to say, if there was no energy off of that Dark Asset, that would be a very big miss. Went all in to try to draw some more cards off of the Crobat, but does at least have the basic energy. Interestingly enough, going to commit it to this Arceus in the active.
This is risky. Charlie could have a big turn here and potentially knock out this Arceus V that has an energy on it. Kyle, I think, is prepared for this because Raihan is sitting in the hand, so could still power up an Arceus V-Star on the next turn through the Raihan. But Charlie could just take a pretty quick 2 prizes and force Kyle into that Raihan play on the following turn.
Absolutely. I think considering what to go for off of this Starbirth, looking at the hand, some very key resources down the line. Collapse Stadium, not something you want to play very much against this deck because they're more than happy to get rid of that Lumineon, more than happy to sometimes get rid of those Crobat if they've already got a VMAX in play. So I think more so the big charm in hand could be big in this matchup to, again, keep that Arceus V-Star out of range from the Corviknight with the Choice Belt, and that could be what Charlie's deciding, hey, I can maybe just apply a little bit of pressure to this Arceus. Sure, it's going to be able to accelerate some more energy, but at the same time, in the War of Attrition, I'm getting the first hit onto an Arceus in the mirror. That is the big thing to note.
It doesn't look like Charlie's going to be able to get the KO here. Does not play Galarian Zigzagoon in this list, so the only way Charlie could have possibly pulled it off would have been Melanie, get 3 basic water energies on this Arceus, and then find a Choice Belt. Charlie's going a bit more conservative of a route, getting the double turbo energy and using the Professor's research to set up a bit more, which I definitely like. Get more Sobbles in play, find another Arceus V to accelerate other energy cards too, and also did get the big charm to throw that on the active Arceus V-Star as well.
What an excellent hand. Finds Sobble, finds the Arceus to get the energy on, even has another level ball the following turn and a Drizzile in hand, accelerating those water energy out of the deck. 180 damage to this active Arceus. And action's now on Kyle. Got to put something together with this hand. You've got access to Starbirth now, especially with that Ultra Ball top deck. I believe already saw Raihan in the hand. Choice Belt not going to do too much here, but maybe with some with the bench full, you've got no access to play down anything like a Galarian Zigzagoon to apply some more pressure. And an interesting inclusion in this chip, we see Piers in the hand. Yeah,
Piers, very cool card. We saw this be utilized in Gustavo Wada's winning EUIC list. It's really nice in decks that play Crobat because it can get you an energy attachment and also draw you a bunch of cards through the Dark Acid ability. Kyle does just choose to discard that Pier, so we won't be seeing much of that. Does get the key Choice Belt down on Corviknight VMAX, or Corviknight V, hoping for it to become a Corviknight VMAX, and that is a key card. We talked about how the math for that card is very important, and that's why Charlie needed to find this big charm and has that ready to go on this Arceus, or ready to go after it gets Sharon's Cared and picked up.
Yeah, Sharon's Cared, the main card here for Charlie, especially in a mirror match like this, where you're both attacking with Arceus, you're both hitting back and forth, utilizing Trinity Nova. We're going to see the Arceus evolve, and before using V-Star power, smartly using the Marnie wants to maximize the amount of cards to see and figure out what is needed. It'll be interesting. Finds Path to the Peak, but at this point where you're at, you know your opponent's really not going to be using any more abilities on their V Pokemon.
Yeah, Path to the Peak I think could only hurt Kyle at this point in case he wanted to go for like a Crobat V Dark Asset in the late game, so no reason to really put that card in play. You can always discard it with a Quick Ball, something like that. The V-Star marker does get flipped, and Starbirth is being used, can get any 2 cards out of the deck. Definitely wants to get a double turbo energy, but what do we think the other card to grab here should be for Kyle?
I believe that last card in hand is a research,
yeah.
It looks like, so it does have the draw support, or maybe one of these evolutions to make sure that Pokemon stay safe.
Like Corviknight VMAX, maybe.
Yeah, we know that Charlie does have access to the Quick Shooting Inteleon. Yeah, one copy of the Quick Shooting Inteleon. A lot of these looks like secret rares. Got the Shining Fates and the Evolving Skies, where it was printed as secret rare cards, but we'll just eye up the second card off of that Starbirth. It looks like it is a Corviknight VMAX, so yeah, it's just going to prioritize getting these evolutions out, get that Corviknight up and ready to utilize GMAX Hurricane in the upcoming turns. And there it is, Trinity Nova, 180 damage, and this is going to be on Charlie to start what is most likely going to be Sharon's Care, into the attaching the double turbo, into swinging, into trying to set Sharon's Care up over and over again. But the main thing to note here, Chip, Big Charm is a big card. As we keep mentioning, you've got to be very careful on where you're placing this.
Yeah, we even saw Gabe earlier on in the tournament playing that Lipard V, whose ability allows you to discard a tool card. Kyle doesn't have the Lipard in the list. I believe does have a Tool Scrapper to remove. Oh, actually does not even play the Tool Scrapper. I totally expected to see that when I scrolled through this list, but no Tool Scrapper. So as long as an Arceus V-Star has a Big Charm on it, it is safe from being one-hit KO'd.
Yeah, and I believe 2 Marnie already in the discard pile there for Kyle, so he's going to have access to 1 more at this point, not playing any copies of something like Palpad to put back in more supporter cards. And Charlie can build these hands up with Shady Dealings, scoop up net. We've seen this time and time again, especially with the deck that Jake played last round of if your deck is not subject to hand disruption, you pretty much have free reign to continue finding the pieces you want, healing your Pokemon, finding energy out of the deck. So this Shady Dealings, Inteleon will grab 2 pieces, eyeing up the second Big Charm, maybe having some information throughout the rounds that maybe Kyle is, or banking off rather, that Kyle doesn't have access to something like a Tool Scrapper to remove these tools, can feel pretty comfortable about grabbing the other Big Charm just to be safe in case the boss's orders get played the following turn. You want to keep that Arceus out of range, but Corviknight is doing enough even with the Big Charm and an Arceus. I got to wonder, do you really invest this now onto your Arceus V, or do you try to maybe wait later until you're out of Sharon's Care to put another one down?
Yeah, Charlie, they could have played yesterday, potentially, Charlie and Kyle, so there's a chance Charlie has deck knowledge and is aware that Kyle doesn't have a way to remove tool cards. Let's see if he plays around a Tool Scrapper by not putting both Big Charms in play, or if he feels confident just putting both in play, knowing that Kyle doesn't have the Scrapper.
That'll be the choice indeed. Has another quick ball. I think maybe deciding, do I want to get a third Arceus into play? And then from there, if one gets knocked out, I'll be completely fine. All I have to do is Big Charm the new one that gets evolved the following turn. So there are a lot of routes, but opting to get rid of the water energy can always be brought back by something like a Melanie.
Yeah.
So lots of options to work with, and it looks like the Arceus V is getting eyed up to the top of the deck and will be selected.
Arceus V coming down can spread energies to 2 potential attackers, so you have 2 targets off of Sharon's Care in future turns. I like this scoop up net as well. You can utilize the other Shady Dealings, Drizzile now, and bench a Sobble, so you can threaten kind of a similar play next turn where you can use Inteleon and then also scoop up net, reuse your other Sobble, or just get another Drizzile, something like that. So Charlie really, you can tell, has played this deck a bunch, is very comfortable with the routes, knows exactly what he needs to do and how he needs to navigate matchups like this one, and he's playing it excellently so far.
Yeah, understanding your opponent is down a few Marnie already feels pretty comfortable just grabbing the second Sharon's Care to hold in the hand at this point, can get the Sobble back down. That was just scoop up netted, as well as the Arceus to get these lines put into play, get ready to apply some pressure, build up your board, and do what we've seen Arceus and Inteleon do all weekend.
Can still attach an energy card this turn. Actually chooses not to. Maybe doesn't want the damage reduction from the double turbo, or wants the option to attach double turbo to either of these Arceus V, which I think is what he's eyeing up since he has decided to split the water energies between these 2 Arceus V.
Very smart play. Preparing for future boss's orders to remove an Arceus, and you're going to lose energies with that Pokemon. So we will see Charlie take the first 2 prize cards of game number 1. Big game for both these players, as looks like Quick Ball will maybe just thin out the deck fail.
Yeah.
I believe
I think
Crobat
thinning
is in
out
the hand.
thinning out the hand more than anything here can get an energy attachment to Arceus V, and his hand is not the best. Maybe Kyle looking for a boss's orders here potentially. Does find Marnie as an option, and that last card is boss. So Kyle has choices between all of the supporters and goes for boss's orders and can pull off the G-Max Hurricane to 1-hit KO in Arceus V.
Big damage coming out from the Corviknight, the Metal Bird, taking the knockout on to Arceus. Kyle going to respond here to 2 prize cards. Charlie is now just kind of holding on to cards that aren't so impactful this turn. Sharon's Care in hand. Not going to be the cards you want to play. You've got no damage on your colorless Pokemon, so can't even play the card for that matter. And you've got a lot of solid resources. It's going to be interesting to see if Charlie can get this Arceus evolved to get out of G-Max Hurricane range so that you are not facing a knockout. Big Charm plus the level ball means if there's not already a Drizzile in hand, which I believe there is, I think just checking through the deck to see if there is an Evolution Incense to be able to grab this out. I see an Ultra Ball in there, but you really don't want to be discarding a lot of resources, so it'll be interesting to see what other cards are in this hand. Yeah, I see cards like Boss's Orders, Sharon's Care, stuff you really don't want to discard.
Available, yeah. Charlie here could just go boss potentially to win this game. Boss up a Crobat, boss up a Lumineon, and close out the game from there. That is a very realistic route to win the game and never have to deal with a VMAX Pokemon.
Yeah, be able to take out one of these Crobats first before the Lumineon is important because there is maybe a random world in which there's
Crobat
a
can
2-2.
evolve. Yeah,
Crobat can evolve in the Crobat VMAX.
Kyle does only play 1 Crobat VMAX, but Charlie may not know that, so that would always be the right grab in that instance. Or maybe just an Arceus V, Corviknight V, if that was in combination with something like the Quick Shooting Inteleon potentially.
Yeah, it looks like we will see the boss
on the
onto the
Crobat,
Crobat.
yep.
This is a very smart line Charlie identifies, understands. I have so many outs the following turn, not anything right now in the hand. But you're going to be taking 2 prize cards.
And leaves both Drizzile in play so that either one of them can become a Shady Dealings Intellion. So Kyle doesn't have a way to cut Charlie off of having that powerful support option.
Drawing into the quick shooting Inteleon off of the prize cards. Arceus V-Star are going to kick things off for Kyle. Not very relevant. It looks like Corviknight is doing the bulk of the damage with G-Max Hurricane.
Has another boss's orders, also has the 3rd copy of Marnie, and that is what Kyle decides to go with. I believe knowing that Charlie had that Shady Dealings Intellion in hand. Now that card goes to the bottom of the deck, so it's going to be much more difficult for Charlie to get access to that piece.
Yeah, looks like found the Drizzile, so that's a big grab there.
Wow.
We're going to see the hit in, and Charlie's got the Drizzile.
As long as Charlie has boss's orders remaining in the deck.
There it is, 270 damage short, especially with the big charm. We'll see if that's there.
Does Charlie have boss in the deck? There's the Drizzile, Shady Dealings. If it's in there, he can win the game. Boss's orders brings up Luminion. Trinity Nova takes a KO, and Charlie will win game number 1.
Fan of Waves, the MVP there to start things off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, your opponent's starting things off with an energy attachment, and you find your Fan of Waves and say, hey, I'm going to reset things here. And only playing 1 copy in the deck as well, finding it off of the Marnie.
Charlie Kerr running good today. Feels pretty nice. Moving to 1-0 in a situation where every win matters. Charlie's still in a spot where he could take a tie and try to win round 14 to hopefully make it into top 8. Kyle, on the other hand, though, with a record of 9-3-0, really needs to win these next 2 games if he wants to keep his top 8 hopes alive. Would love to find a record of 11-3 to make it into cut. There's a chance someone with a 10-3-1 record could make it in, but it's a little unlikely. So Kyle really needing to win both of these next 2 rounds, and that starts by winning a game 2 and a game 3 here in round 13.
Starting with a win in game 2, Kyle really utilized the Corviknight there as the strategy. Built it up, tried to go for some gusting effects. Do you think maybe if we saw a Trinity Nova stick, is that the game plan that Kyle should just continue to go with, of utilizing his Corviknight, even when you know your opponent's playing so many big charm and no way to remove these tools?
Yeah, I think the big difference maker in that game was that Fan of Waves that you mentioned, because that just set Kyle back and got rid of the going first advantage that Arceus has in this mirror match. So since Charlie was able to find that one of piece, it was almost like Kyle didn't even get to go first.
Definitely an advantage right off the bat. Almost certain Kyle will be kicking things off to go first in this Arceus mirror match.
Surely Charlie doesn't find a second Fan of Waves, or a Fan of Waves in game number 2, I should say.
Ooh, hands not looking very solid for either player, I believe. We're just like Dunsparce come, or excuse me, a Zigzagoon start as we get to the prize cards. Luminion unavailable. 1 big charm so far for Charlie. That could be a big difference maker, but the way this hand is looking, oh, big top deck there finds the Ultra Ball. The rest of the hand was pretty much unplayable for this first turn of the game.
Yeah, Kyle's hand went from not good at all to, okay, I'm chilling. Ultra Ball can get the Arceus V into play. You can get an energy attachment onto it, and you have Arceus V-Star ready to go in hand so that next turn you can use Starbirth. And the key thing as well here for Kyle is he's going to be attaching a basic energy card, which cannot be targeted by Fan of Waves, which I'm sure is a welcome sight in Kyle's eyes.
Having to discard the boss's orders and Path to PQ. The path is really strong, especially in this Arceus mirror match after you've used Starbirth. Again, say, hey, I've used all my abilities I want. I'm completely happy to shut mine off at the price of not allowing you to find the cards you need. But grabbing Arceus has the energy in hand and the V-Star to follow things up for the following turn. It's going to really be on Charlie to respond to at least get an Arceus down and an attachment. But everything you want to see again for Kyle. You've got the energy. You've got anything else. And oh, there is nothing in this hand. Just a Marnie.
Dunsparce is the... Wait, yeah, Charlie's just totally reliant on this Marnie. Charlie has to decide if he wants to attach an energy card or not. But it's going to come down to these 5 cards if Charlie Kerr gets to play this game. Otherwise, Kyle can pretty easily threaten a turn 2 knockout on Dunsparce. Let's see if Charlie finds a Quick Ball or a basic Pokemon. Okay, a couple Quick Balls there and an Arceus V, but I don't think there's any energy cards.
Yeah, well, the good thing about this Arceus deck with Melanie is that it theoretically is always possible to power up an Arceus V-Star in 1 turn. You can get a Water Energy in the discard pile, play the Melanie, but discarding 1 off the bat means that the other 2 cards in the hand are extremely valued here for Charlie, and is going to go all in on this Arceus V in play. This is a scary spot. You know your opponent just discarded the boss's orders. Maybe Kyle regretting that a little bit, saying, hey, if I held into that boss's orders, I play the Choice Belts, I have the Zigzagoon, but actually starting the Zigzagoon is a big deal if you're only playing one. However, Kyle is playing 2 Zigzagoon, a very interesting inclusion. We usually just see this card as a one-of.
Ooh, and Kyle does top deck the boss's orders. I wonder if he could piece together this boss's orders KO on an Arceus. It is a lot to get, especially for a deck like Kyle's that does not have access to the Drizziles. No Intellions, no Drizziles, no shady dealings done on the right side of the table. So Kyle maybe looking at getting a Crobat off of the Ultra Ball, or could Arceus V-Star and then V-Star power for one of the pieces and then get a Crobat to continue drawing through this hand, something like that. Boss's orders was already ready to go. Now needs to find just double turbo Choice Belt, or could just go for research and setup, which is a lot less greedy and probably the correct play.
Yeah, you know you're already ahead. You're going to be taking prize cards this turn if you bank off of it. The worst thing that could possibly happen is to miss even attacking or taking prize cards or dealing any damage. So
yeah, no reason to go all in on that play. You're still the first one getting off an attack. Charlie didn't get an energy card down, so even though it could be tempting, Kyle makes the correct decision here.
Smart indeed. Both these players deserve to be here. They've worked hard all throughout this event. Has the Arceus the double turbo energy, but opting to not grab the pivoting option, instead valuing grabbing the Arceus is going to be a big 7 cards.
He grabbed energy and research.
Oh, energy research,
off of
my
the
mistake.
Starbirth, so needs to find a switching option. Got the double turbo. Has a quick ball here, and an Ultra Ball can thin the hand down. There is already a Crobat V in this hand, so Dark Asset is really what Kyle's going to be banking on.
Yeah, Arceus V will be discarded as the first card, and the Metal Energy will join it to the discard pile, searching for what most likely will be something like the Corviknight to get powered up.
Yeah, I think you definitely want to set up Corviknight V here, try to get into the VMAX. Kyle can actually play the whole hand out here if he wants to. Just burn the Evolution Incense, don't get anything, quick ball away the energy, and then Dark Asset for the full 6 cards. Kyle really needing to find either the escape rope or a switch, something like that, in order to get the Zigzagoon out of the active spot and get off a Trinity Nova this turn. And it would be a huge turn as well, because likely Charlie would send up the Sobble. So you're taking that Sobble out of play, so Drizzile is not an option.
Yeah, I think the main concern for Kyle at this point is you only play 4 Metal Energy in your deck. You've got 1 attached to the Arceus and 2 in your hand. Now 1 is in the discard pile. You can still recover it with Ordinary Rod.
That's true.
But you want to be able to accelerate them out of the deck, and that's the big problem is at most we know 1 is not prized, so we'll have to just only accelerate 1, and you draw into the other Metal Energy and no pivoting option.
Wow, that is really bad for Kyle. Doesn't get the attack off, but Charlie had a rough start, so makes up for it with that Fan of Waves. We saw how big of a deal that was, and I think that is a welcome sight for Kyle Lesniewicz. The Marnie from Charlie will put those Metal Energies on the bottom of the deck so that they can be hopefully accelerated next turn with a Trinity Nova.
Big sigh of relief for Charlie. Finds the energy attachment for turn in that Water Energy. Can get down another Arceus as well. The options are there. Level Ball could even grab a Drizzile this turn. Can also get down a backup Sobble just in case this one falls to a boss's orders. And it looks like that will be the eye up right away for Charlie. Grabbing Sobble out of the deck. And also has another quick ball. Looks like we're going to see that one get played as well.
Level Ball first. Can get Drizzile or another Sobble here. Let's see what Charlie goes with. Definitely wants to try and get a little more set up. Did discard a basic Water Energy, so Melanie could be the supporter of choice to try and pull off an attack this turn.
And nothing happening this turn, unfortunately, since the Marnie was played, but
does
still have the Arceus V-Star, and I think just valuing getting down potentially an Arceus. I think the cards are actually there to be able to get another Arceus V down and then Trinity Charge on that Arceus, but at that point you leave yourself with no cards to play, so we'll see what the choice is. Double Turbo coming to the hand right away. It feels really bad to utilize one of your scoop up nets, a key piece, to reuse the Drizzile and Inteleon Shady Dealings ability just to get it out of the active.
Yeah, just to move the Dunsparce. That would be a not optimal use of scoop up net for sure, but sometimes it's what you have to do. Charlie not too worried about getting it out of the active in this situation since he can't pull off an attack this turn. Anyway, I believe off the Starbirth just grabbed a double turbo to attach and then a research for the next turn, so Charlie must not have a strong hand.
Not at all. Just another water energy is
Just
the
a
last
pass.
card. Wow.
This is the slowest start I think we've seen from any Arceus deck, and it just so happens that we're getting a match where 2 Arceus decks are having such a slow start on the stream.
So unfortunate. This is a match you want to take advantage of the slow pacing. And
Escape rope.
ooh, this is a interesting choice for Charlie. Really, if anything was to get knocked out, Dunsparce is your #1 choice to fall at this point. Has the quick ball, eyeing up, or excuse me, discarding the choice spell.
Yeah, has another one in the hand, so can still get that attachment, but that is the only draw out in this hand right now. I think Kyle here would love to get to the Luminion and go grab the Piers to get double turbo energy, but unfortunately Luminion is chilling in the prize card. So it's going to be on to Crobat here. Can Dark Asset find the double turbo so Kyle can launch an attack?
Yeah, you've used your Starbirth already to grab that piece. You usually just need 1 to make things work most of the time.
Gets the full 6 cards here.
This is going to be a big 6 cards. Research can potentially dig through the deck a little bit further. Evolution Instance can find a Crobat VMAX to get that out of the deck.
Marnie's also an option. Kyle did draw into a couple of energy cards here, so I feel like putting those back into the deck would be pretty solid. Evolution Instance could go get the Crobat VMAX and get that into play, or maybe a second Arceus V-Star. Let's see what he grabs.
The options are there for Kyle, mainly just to get a card that is not double turbo. Trying to look through and see, it looks like 1 in the deck, checking through what has been
Yeah, I don't think he
prized
prized
during
any,
this game.
so.
Yeah, none in the prize cards.
So has a few to find, does play the full 4 copies. So off of a Marnie, it's pretty likely to see it. Let's see if Kyle can find it. Only 5 cards, choosing to play Marnie over digging with the research because he wants to put those basic energies back into the deck to accelerate with a Trinity Nova. Does he find double turbo? There it is.
Finds 2, it looks like, so has plenty to work with. There's the knockout onto the Sobble. Trinity Nova accelerating 3 energy out of the deck. Sure, we're going to see this Corviknight VMAX get powered up. Nothing threatening a knockout on it at the moment. And there it is. 2 Metal in the Dark, fulfilling the attack requirements. We'll draw into not the best prize cards it looks like here to work with. Not really going to have to rely on a Pumpkaboo to bail out at this point, but it's going to be on Charlie to respond. Has the Arceus ready to attack this turn. The Sharon to follow it up. And an Ultra Ball is a big-time grab because that can grab the Shady Dealings and Teleon to find some more of these trainer cards.
So we just got to remind Kyle to take those prize cards. Yep, you definitely want to take those because that is how you win a game of the Pokemon TCG.
You know, I like taking prize cards sometimes. I'm getting 1 step closer to winning. That's how it always is. But Ultra Ball is what you need to find if you're Charlie to try to take these prize cards and close the game out on your side. Has access to Shady Dealings in Teleon.
Yep, and that can really just unlock so many different plays since you get any 2 trainer cards out of the deck and put them directly into your hand.
This is the ability we've been hearing all weekend. Shady Dealings is the main staple support Pokemon of the meta. It's what encompasses so many decks to make things work.
And the Big Charm is a huge grab off the Shady Dealings, really important on this turn since Kyle has the Corviknight VMAX already powered up with the Choice Belt, which could threaten a KO on an Arceus V-Star. Big Charm, though, will keep it out of range.
Big Charm, a very crucial card at this point.
Does discard a Sharon's Kerr to the research, which could be relevant. Charlie does play 2 copies and also has Pal Pad to get 1 back, but that is a card you never love to see hit the discard pile unless you're the one playing it to put it in the discard pile.
You've got some reassurance from last game at this point that you were able to close it out just playing 1 Sharon's Care, but
for sure,
the fact that that was a little bit of a wacky start on both sides.
It's about finding the next one.
Yeah, it's about finding, but what better card to find your Sharon's Care than a Drizzle to come out. Sobble will prepare for the next turn. We'll see if there's a scoop up net.
Ahead.
Yeah, maybe a scoop up net to reset this Inteleon, but no, has Drizzle in hand, and there is a Trinity Nova to deal some damage. And more importantly as well, accelerate the energy. But it looks like had to discard a few off of a previous Ultra Ball and only going to grab 1 out of the deck.
That is a big deal. Now Charlie will probably have to play a Melanie in a future turn in order to keep up after using a Sharon's Care or 2. Let's see what Kyle Lesniewicz has on the other side. This would be a decent turn to Boss's Orders. Maybe try to target down the Arceus V if he can.
Yeah,
I don't think he has it, though.
No, and no way to draw any more cards. Luminion also unavailable in the prize cards. Your bench is full.
Yeah, 2 Boss's Orders actually have already hit the discard pile for Kyle, so...
Yeah, so only got 1 left.
Yeah, so it's unlikely that you would have it necessarily in this hand. Quick Ball can thin the Hoopa out of the deck, not useful in this matchup. You can get another Pokemon out. You don't really need anything else as Kyle Lesniewicz. You've got your board set up pretty much ideally, so just getting this Arceus V out of the deck so you don't draw into it in a future turn.
Has Marnie in hand, could also Piers, but Marnie seems to be a solid choice.
So it will put the Arceus V back into the deck, but Kyle has smartly put it on the bottom of the deck with the Marnie, so now it's not going to be one of these 5 cards.
See what Kyle has to work with at this point. There's the Ordinary Rod. That's a big grab. Had to discard a few Metal Energies earlier on in the game, so if you need to power up a backup attacker like a backup Corviknight later on, could that be relevant? Big damage with G-Max Hurricane, 270, just short especially with the big charm. Charlie gonna kick things off. This Marnie hand is pretty big. I see another Inteleon. The level ball is in hand though, and with a double turbo on this active Arceus, it means the second Sharon's Kerr can get grabbed out of the deck if that is the option that Charlie wants to go for. Looks like actually also already has the Drizzile in hand, so that means another Drizzile could potentially come down on the following turn. This is what we're seeing. Sharon's Kerr healing up, Halpad maybe to put back some more, and we could be seeing this over and over for a few turns.
The problem here for Charlie is that this Trinity Nova is not going to accelerate any energy cards, so it's going to be hard to Sharon's Kerr on the next turn because then your Arceus that you would be sending up won't have any energy cards attached to it. So I don't know if Charlie has anything like Ordinary Rod available. Does have Level Ball, like you mentioned, for the next turn to find any of those key pieces. But Sharon's Kerr will heal 270 damage out of play, erasing what Kyle did on the last turn.
And negating everything that Kyle put together with the Trinity Nova to power up this Corviknight. Still in play, but it's going to be taking a hefty amount of damage from this Trinity Nova. Smartly attaching the big charm, has double turbo. I mean, even at this point, you don't have deck knowledge, but there's no way for Kyle to deal 10 more damage when Kyle's bench is full. There's no way to bench another Galarian Zigzagoon. Yeah,
Kyle does not play any scoop up net. Charlie probably doesn't know that. Oh, and it looks like there was a water energy in the hand earlier on that got Marnied back to the bottom last turn, or potentially Charlie just chose to accelerate one, which is actually a really smart decision.
Smart indeed there for Charlie. Has access to another energy card. This benched Arceus for Kyle is now powered up, roaring to go. And I think at this hand, you've got research to dig through further. More importantly, the switch to reset Corviknight if you want to go for that. But you've already got another attacker and Arceus on the bench ready to go.
Yeah, I think Kyle's most likely to attack with the Arceus V-Star here, so doesn't want to play switch, since if you retreated Corviknight and then switched back into it or something like that, you can't retreat once again, and there's no reason to play switch when Corviknight has free retreat. You can always retreat it on the other end of the research.
Yeah, so much going on for this card we haven't even talked about. Lustrous Body, essentially a stealthy hood on it as an ability, prevents any abilities for targeting it. So
yeah, and quick shooting could be a big deal in this matchup, so shutting off that chance for Charlie to add extra damage is really solid. So Kyle won't be hitting for quite as much damage as he did last turn, but 180 is still solid. Does evolve one of those Crobat V into a VMAX, just giving it a little more HP.
Absolutely, and there is the Trinity Nova, 180 damage to this Arceus. Charlie on the offensive at this point. You've got math set up on multiple Pokemon to potentially close the game out. It's going to revolve around boss's orders to make something work. Just looking through the discard pile, seeing what resources Kyle has gone through, a few boss's orders already. The Ordinary Rod is no longer an option to recover some more of these energy cards. And the Level Ball from the hand will get played to grab this Drizzile. So maybe eyeing a Palpad to bring back those Sharon's Kerr. Both of them are in the discard pile. Maybe a Melody to get some more energies into play. There's a lot of options here for Charlie to consider.
A route potentially for Charlie would be to boss's orders 3 times in a row. That's pretty difficult to do, but it is entirely possible. Just boss's orders bring up one of these damaged multi-prize Pokemon, boss's orders bring up the other one, and then boss's orders clean up the game by knocking out Crobat V.
Looks like Scoop Up Net the grab will find the Inteleon. Looking for Palpad and potentially another supporter card. I don't think I saw any in Charlie's hand, but
yeah, you do have to grab back. You do have to grab both of your supporter cards, both of your trainer cards now. I think Charlie would love to like grab the Palpad and then, oh yeah, for my other part of Shady Dealings, it would be really nice if I could get a Sharon's Kerr, but that is not quite how the card works. You have to get the 2 trainers right away, and boss's orders appears to be the choice.
You've got that threat of Corviknight to potentially ruin your day on another boss's orders over on Kyle's side. So smartly going to grab the boss's orders, understands I need to put some aggression on at this point. Healing and all is great, but if I'm not taking prize cards, then what does the work really for? The damage is going to stick. There are no healing cards in Kyle's deck. But interestingly enough, plays a second Scoop Up Net, and I believe that is all of the Scoop Up Net there for Charlie does not have access to anymore, so not the aggression we're going to be seeing for the rest of the game when it comes to shady dealings over and over again, but we'll still be able to utilize those a few more times. There's the knockout with Trinity Nova, taking the knockout onto the Corviknight. 3 prize cards for Charlie. Action's going to be on Kyle again to take a knockout potentially, or maybe take some other routes of play.
And Charlie has targeted down the thing that makes Kyle's deck unique, no longer having access to that Corviknight. Charlie needs to find Palpad if he wants to go for the multi-boss play, but it is entirely possible for him to pull that off. Only needing to take 3 more prize cards. You could even technically 2-hit KO that Crobat VMAX, as opposed to worrying about dealing with 1 Arceus and then 1 Crobat V, something like that.
Lots of lines to consider. Kyle has a double turbo energy in hand, but it looks like just going to take the knockout.
Not much else, yeah, just has to attack.
It's got nothing going on in the hand.
Does
to really
take
play.
2 prize cards here, which is nice, going down to just 3 remaining. So we are tied as far as the prize cards are concerned, but I really have to favor Charlie Kerr's board position.
Charlie is looking to be in an excellent spot. There's the level ball. Can grab out the last Drizzile from the deck. And now, actually, it looks like will not grab Drizzile. Maybe missing here. It looks like is playing the 4-4 line, but already has the other Drizzile in hand. So we're all solid. We're all set. This can find boss's orders. You don't have access to the other big charm, but now that Corviknight's been taken care of, you feel a lot safer having this Arceus in play without a big charm on it.
So let's see if Charlie will eye up either the Arceus, maybe could boss up the Crobat V as well if he's worried that Kyle potentially has a second Crobat VMAX to evolve that Crobat out of range. I feel like this is the play Charlie is going for, though. Wants to try and boss to win the game because he knows this active Arceus V-Star is not going down. Kyle does not have a Corviknight VMAX set up, so that threat of the big one-hit KO is not available.
Not on the table, grabbing Arceus off of the Ultra Ball. There's the boss's orders.
So Charlie
taking care of the Arceus V-Star.
Charlie feeling confident that there's not another Crobat VMAX in this deck. There is Inteleon, can get any other 2 trainers from the deck, and Palpad definitely feels like a solid choice. So you can put 2 boss's orders back into the deck because that is the win condition you were really leaning on.
Still has access to Palpad. Very smart on Charlie's end to save these resources for later on in the game. You've got what looks like no way to search out any evolution Pokemon besides the 1 copy of Level Ball, so that is going to be potentially the reliance for Charlie. Most fearful of a Marnie to make something happen, but it looks like it will be the 2 discard recovery cards out of deck for Charlie, the Ordinary Rod and Palpad, and it will be on Charlie to maybe flood the deck with boss's orders to try and draw into those on the following turn. That seems like a very solid line here for Charlie.
Yeah, is there a Drizzile in the discard pile? It doesn't look like it. Eyeing up putting back the Sobble potentially.
Yeah, at this point, your opponent's still at 3 prize cards, so if they're playing a boss's orders on this turn, then you've got the Drizzile in hand to find the boss. And if they're playing Marnie, they're not taking a knockout, so you kind of put yourself in a good position where you may have an extra turn to try and close this game out. So looks like we're just making sure Ordinary Rod can grab back both, or more importantly, 1 or 2 of the card. And that's what makes these new recovery cards so unique. With the Sword and Shield era, we had this change where you can bring up to a certain amount of cards, and it can be very useful to not flood the deck.
I think that Sobble just came into play this turn, right? Because Charlie played a scoop-up net, so cannot evolve that one. I'm pretty sure that's right. But yeah, Palpad does get played, can put up to 2 supporters from the discard pile back into the deck, and both boss's orders are the choice. Just like we talked about, this is the play Charlie's going for. Wants to take this knockout here, go to 1 prize card remaining, and can boss up either the Crobat or I guess Zigzagoon, so that's why he's not really concerned about another Crobat VMAX.
Yeah, it's smart anyways to not play the Drizzile down just in case your opponent Marnies. You want to have the access to boss's orders the following turn. Charlie going to go down to 1 prize card, and look what's sitting on the bench. Looking very easy to knock out the Zigzagoon and
Kyle,
the Crobat.
Really hoping that top deck was going to be a good one. Path to the Peak is not very helpful, though. He's got boss's orders available, got Ultra Ball, Quick Ball, lots of really strong cards, but I just don't know that Kyle has the pieces remaining to pull off a comeback.
That's the question at this point. What are the
Looking
options
at
for
the deck.
Kyle? 3 cards in deck.
See Piers, a Galarian Zigzagoon, and an Arceus V. None of those are particularly helpful. It's still got to be a 2-hit KO on this active Arceus V-Star. Boss's Order's an escape rope in the hand.
I mean, you know your opponent's down 2 scoop-up nets, so they'll have to have the energy to retreat something like a Dunsparce, but there's still so many cards left in deck, so many energies at this point. It's just the attack.
Trinity Nova.
Charlie has it. There's the Drizzle. Can grab out the Boss's Orders that was put back in. Boss's Orders up the Zigzagoon. Charlie Kerr will win this set, advancing to 10-2-1, locking himself up essentially for a spot in top 8. Congratulations there to Charlie.
Yeah, very well played. Congratulations as well to Kyle. Should still feel very good about his deck, the choice for this event, but unfortunately the cards just were not quite there for him. Charlie played that matchup very, very well. The big charms really carrying their weight, making it so that Kyle couldn't pull off his main strategy. One-hit KOing Arceus V-Star, not something we ever saw happen on the other end of the table.
No, it's really hard when you have no way to remove the big charm. That was
Right.
a really cute tech there from Gabe that we saw earlier, playing the Lie part to be able to discard the tool cards, but with no tool removal, it's just super difficult to be able to deal with these Arceuses, and the healing plus the constant gust plus the consistency of Inteleon. It's what makes this deck the most streamlined version of Arceus that just gets the